Squares, triangles, circles. These mysterious objects, otherwise known as shapes. But what are shapes exactly? Where did they come from? Why are they here? And who created them? I'm not really sure, but I know they're the only way you can draw super funny cartoon characters. Hey, Fritter here. In this exciting video, I want to teach you all about using shapes to draw cartoons. And not just any cartoons, super stupid, funny looking cartoons. But fear not, drawing shapes works with any style, from Mickey Mouse to Has-Been Hotel. And you're not going to get good at cartooning if you don't learn this. Shapes work for animation, comics, new drawings of, anything. So, to make it super easy to understand cartooning with shapes, first I'll show you beginner level, then intermediate, then OMG I'm gonna be a pro level. After you watch this entire video, you'll see how shapes are everywhere in cartoons and even life. Whoa. Like and subscribe. Alright, let's begin. Beginner. Guess what? Your brain isn't very smart. You might think it is, but it isn't. What happens when your brain sees this? Ah! Your eyes wander all around and try to focus on something. It's all so confusing. Make it stop. So then what happens when you see this? Ooh, it's simple. Easy to understand. Brain feel nice. That's the reason why we use shapes to draw cartoons. Shapes make your drawings clear, appealing, and there's other pluses like making it easy to animate and so on. We're making funny cartoons here, so that's what we want. We don't want people's brains to fall out when looking at our drawings. Maybe in a good way? I don't know. So how to go about using these so-called shapes? Let's start at the beginning with the simplest of shapes, a square. My word! SpongeBob is a square! The shapes are the first thing that you should draw, and a shape is also the rough drawing, and it can also be called construction or cartoon construction, and it all gets erased later once you add the details over the shapes. You'll see later. So, SpongeBob, it's kind of cheating because he's such a simple design. His face is even on that square. He's just one shape and you're done. Add the details on top, like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and then the arms and the legs come out. Yes! But look at this. Check out his hands. Look closely. What is that? A circle! Yes! A circle is used to draw his hands. His feet, a circle and a rectangle. Yes! And you see how I'm drawing his shoe? Taking the rectangle and the circle and putting them together? Yeah, shapes can even be combined. And that's what we'll go over in the next part in more detail. Because unfortunately, not every character is just a square. Oh, I wish. Characters are usually made up of several shapes. But before we move on, let's doodle some other basic shape type characters so you can see how I turn simple shapes into funny cartoons. Come on, draw any shape you can think of and slap a dumb face on it. A silly hairstyle, a big nose, small nose, whatever. This is really an exercise in freedom. You shouldn't be laboring over your drawings here. Stop thinking and just let your mind wander while you draw. Who knows what you'll come up with? When it's simple shapes like this, it really lends itself well to monsters, aliens, creatures, that sort of thing. But if you really want to try a human or animal, go for it. So if you're comfortable here at beginner level, great. You don't have to rush things. But if you're ready for more of a challenge and you really want to advance your cartooning skills, let's move on to the next part, intermediate. Now that you understand the basics, let's raise the difficulty level a little. We're going to design a cat, like Tom or Sylvester. A good place to start is with the head. What shape is the head? That's right, Smarty Pants, it's an oval. Then the body, we're going to be using a bean shape. The arms are tapered tubes, and the same with the legs. And remember from before, the hands and feet can start off as circles with hot dog shapes for the fingers, and so on. Back up to the head, we'll start adding the details. Cats have big cheeks and snouts. Now I'm sticking shapes into the shapes. A nose, it's like a long oval. The ears are triangles, of course. Eyes are round circles. Now I know this particular style or the way I'm drawing might seem boring or kind of generic and maybe not your thing, but trust me here, we're still learning the rules. Once you master this, it'll be time to break the rules, and that'll be coming soon, so hang tight. Alright, so let's break down what just happened. Alright, so using shapes like this is adding dimension. Do you mean like the dimension where your weird uncle came from? No, not that kind of dimension. I'm talking about three-dimensionality. In other words, making your 2D drawing feel 3D. That is what is going to set you apart from the amateurs. Your drawings will have a solid three-dimensional feeling to them as if they can exist in our world. Our horrible three-dimensional world. Alright, let's go back to SpongeBob for a sec. He's just a simple square, right? But check it out, he has a thickness to him, right? All this adds up to making SpongeBob feel more three-dimensional. For these types of characters and this design style, this is what we want. Speaking of three-dimensional, that's why when we drew the cat head earlier, we also drew those crosshairs in the head shape. So when we add the eyes, nose, mouth, we follow the roundness and contour of the circle shape, instead of just stamping those facial features into the middle of the circle. Following the crosshairs gives it that 3D shape, just like your own head. A lot of master cartoonists omit this step when they're drawing, and that's fine, because they got the experience. But if you're just learning, draw them crosshairs. Also, using shapes will help us draw any pose. Please watch my video about making funny extreme cartoon poses, link down below, and you'll see how I can stretch these shapes to hit any pose I want. But this cat doesn't look so funny, you say? Once you get better at drawing basic characters like this, start experimenting with size. Little circle for the head, big fat circle for the body. The contrast in sizes is what's gonna make it stupid and funny looking. Little head, square body, whatever. Give it a try. If it looks good, go with it. Don't be afraid to experiment, but also don't kill yourself overcomplicating things. Bugs Bunny is a pretty basic looking anthropomorphic rabbit, but his trickster personality, the way animators drew him funny, along with his nasally voice and catchphrase, and it was with a design that was just based on basic cartooning by today's standards. Have a focus on trying to make characters that are fun to draw. Something to think about is, what if you had to draw his character every day? For a job, or for a show you're working on, or for a cartoon you're doing yourself? The shapes are what will make it fun to draw. Another thing when designing is to use the shapes for the character's personality. Soft curves and roundness will indicate cuteness, sweetness, and cuddliness, etc. No, not everything needs to be a circle or something round and soft here. You can still use angles and squares, whatever, but the overall feeling of the character should be fun, round, and soft, and so on. Find the contrast and lean more into the soft than hard. Here's some rough, I don't know, like a bunny or something, some little cute looking animal. I don't know what this thing is. Okay, just to show you like how poses would work with a cute cuddly design. Another thing to think about is the character's weight. If they got a little belly like this bunny thing, then when they animate there'd be some like jiggle there and you would feel it in their movement, right? Also, check out how I manipulate the body shape to hit the pose I want. So if you had to design like an adorable giggly cute bear, you would use soft round shapes. I know what you're thinking, but Fred, your SpongeBob is a square. That's not soft and round. True. Honestly, I don't think his personality was thought of when he was designed. Straight lines and points, such as triangles and squares, represent toughness, rigidness, and sturdiness, etc. I could have drawn his chest with a big giant curve, and that would have been okay. Similar to before, not everything needs to be sharp and menacing. Just use angles here to get the overall feeling of the character right, and add curves, circles, round things, whatever, to complement. If you're designing a villain who is hell-bent on revenge and trying to kill me in my sleep, why won't you let me sleep? You're going to use sharp angles and triangles to show they're menacing. And going a little nuts with the angles on this character, but hey, why not? I always says, think before you design. We're hardwired to know soft is good, pointy is bad. Put that kind of thinking into your character designs. OMG, I'm gonna be pro. Alright, now the fun stuff. Time to break the rules. Earlier we were talking about geometric shapes. Circles, triangles, etc. All well and good. But you're saying I want to draw crazy stuff. I want my designs to look special and cool and different. You do that by using shapes found in nature. And that's something I know about. Think about it. Go back to when we drew that bean shape for that cat's body. A bean shape is something you would find in nature, right? A bean. That's called an organic shape. We'll hammer this home with talking about symmetry. Geometric shapes are generally man-made, right? And made by math. Ew. And are therefore perfect and symmetric. Organic shapes, on the other hand, are imperfect, not mathematically correct, and they are asymmetric. Thank goodness, because math sucks, am I right? When we start putting organic shapes in our characters, we can achieve a level of design that is complex and simple at the same time, and is something that is visually stimulating to our dumb brains. Alright, how about we just start doodling with some silly organic shapes? Now, it's funny because it's actually pretty hard to draw a perfect circle, a triangle, right? But for organic, you don't have to worry about being perfect. You can start by drawing lopsided circles and so on. Unevenness, different lengths can all be a design plus here. This takes practice. It's not just drawing sloppy ass shapes. You want to really think about what is good design. What are good design principles? Some good design principles are straights against curves, form follows function, and less is more. Is your head spinning yet? I told you this was advanced level. In the future, I hope to go over these things in more detail, but this is just to get started. Above all, you are always looking for clarity and simplicity in your designs. Those might be the two most important things, no matter what style you're trying to achieve. And especially if you're trying to draw funny animated cartoons. Okay, anyway, So if you're saying this doesn't look so three-dimensional anymore, you'd be right. These characters have more of a flat graphic cartoon style than a 3D look to them. And if you have trouble doing organic shapes, try drawing that perfect circle and just either leave it as is before it gets perfect, or start messing it up a little bit. Similar to SpongeBob, is to just use one shape for everything. It just depends how simple or graphic you want to go, and that's your choice as an artist. About art styles and what's cool and not and blah 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 blah, every style today is derived from somewhere. Someone just puts a new spin on it. This style I'm doing right here is no different. This graphic style has a resurgence from time to time, and if you know what recent shows I'm talking about, say it in the comments below. Instead of combining shapes like earlier, you can just draw one shape. I might make it look easy, but this style takes years of practice, so don't get discouraged at first. To help you along the way, here's some great master cartoonists who pretty much invented this stuff. I love them! Ed Benedict was the big shot designer at the studio Hanna-Barbera in the 60s, and he designed Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, and even the Flintstones, and a lot of your favorite characters at H&B of this era. Ward Kimball was one of Disney's 9 old men, and started off at Disney Studio just like any other animator, but then really came into his own in the late 50s and 60s when he got a shot to direct, animate, and design his own cool shorts like Mars and Beyond, and my personal all-time favorite, Toot Whistle Plunk and Boom. Lastly is Tom Orab, maybe the greatest character designer of all time in my opinion. He was also at Disney in the 50s and 60s and did a lot of great stuff for Sleeping Beauty, Alice in Wonderland, and oh man, check out these cool Mickeys he did for this car commercial. Similar to Ward's style, it was very insane for Disney to be doing this kind of stuff back then. It wasn't the typical studio house style, and it was so different for the studio it drove old man Walt nuts. Lastly and most importantly, it's not geometric versus organic shapes. Both are awesome. There is no one way that is better than the other. Both can even be used together. You might have noticed earlier I cheated a bit and I was doing this. Look, that's because once you grow as an artist, it's hard to go back to one way or another. You will pull what you like from each, from geometric and organic, and you'll be using both together without even realizing it. And it will look amazing. But whoa, stop. Wait! Please don't just start drawing like this. Learn the basics I talked about earlier first, then work your way to using organic shapes in your cartoons. You'll thank me later. Alright, shapes are just one of many of the essential cartooning skills you'll need, and I only scratched the surface. A lot of this stuff can be taught, but a lot of it can't be, and you'll just have to learn naturally as you just keep drawing on your own. So do your own homework, just like a young Fritter once did, and find your own favorite shapes and artists to steal from, to be inspired by. Look at how shapes are used in everyday life. Look at how animators use them to animate, if that's what you want to do. Shapes can even help you draw annoying perspective, whether it's with characters or even backgrounds. After watching this video, you might never look at a cartoon the same way. That's good and you're growing as an artist. Now get out there and draw, dang it. See you next time, my fancy fellow followers.